I'm ready.
Okay. Ted, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Welcome to Azeroth Roundtable, episode 330. My name is Ben Bumhofer. It is Friday night. We're going to talk about some WoW, have some fun, and maybe, just maybe, learn something about ourselves. With me, as always, on this fine episode is John Jagger. How's it going, John?
Hello, Ben. It is Friday night here in Azeroth, and I am thrilled to be joining you here at the round table here in Azeroth. A beautiful place. Um, it's got trees. It's got mountains.
Yeah.
It's got oceans.
It's got pits of lava.
It has bright spots. Where the sun hits it. It's got some shadowlands where, the light doesn't quite hit it.
Yeah, that's where the light doesn't touch. That's not part of our lands.
Not yet. Joining us this week is Tetsemi. Hi, Tet. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Of course.
I'm just a little confused, though.
Why?
Oh, no.
I thought this was Eorzea roundtable. No.
Oh, I see.
No. All right. Okay.
I potentially get in trouble every time I talk about another MMO on the show. That MMO gets canceled.
Yeah,
that is true. By the way, I do love that. I was looking at our viewer count, and John, as you started just describing different bits of Azeroth, it dropped. So just getting the people in here.
Yep. People are like, oh, they're going to talk about Azeroth. I don't know about this.
I know, right? Right?
I'm going to just keep saying Shadowlands until the number goes up, because that's how it works, Ben.
Okay.
Shadowlands.
I like that.
Shadowlands.
Cool.
Shadowlands.
You know what? Maybe we should go to Shadow Labs after this. It's been a while since I've been in there.
No, Shadowlands, Ben.
Oh, okay. Shadowlands.
Shadowlands.
I see.
Tet, you're shaking your head no. Are you not into my random word that I chose out of nowhere?
I'm not watching. The numbers aren't moving. I'm sorry.
They're not moving? Okay. Well,
No, that's okay.
Actually, I saw that
right.
down. Yeah.
People
Were like, oh, they're talking about Shadowlands. Let's get out of there. Right now.
But, so, I have a question for you, too.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been going through playing World of Warcraft or telling somebody
No.
about something that you've done or whatever? Let me finish the question.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was the whole thing.
And, just talking about MMOs in general or whatever, and someone's all like, hey, that's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
No.
It's my inside voice tells me that a lot.
Well, John, what if I were to tell you that I actually have proof that I have wasted a whole lot of time?
Is this
Oh,
just
no.
a
Did you
setup
type
for a...
played?
Is this just a setup for a bad dad joke?
No.
Okay.
Well, a little bit.
Kind of.
It's a setup for a story that ends in kind of a bad dad joke.
Okay. Tell us about your
Alright.
belt.
I got a new belt, John. I got the waste of time.
What did you have to do to get such a thing, Ben?
Oh my gosh, it is so long and arduous, and you do absolutely nothing. No, seriously, though, I actually had a lot of fun doing it. So first you need to get the demonic goat battle pet, Baal. Once you get him, so you get him by going around and clicking on a whole bunch of little tiny things.
I was okay with this story until
secret
he
community.
did the bah.
No, Baal.
No.
It's Baal'. That's his name. It's Baal. Anyways, so once you get him by going around and clicking on a whole bunch of stuff, and he becomes, he's there, and you can actually fight him and get him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have him, you click on another thing, and it takes you through a series of things around the whole, World of Warcraft and or Draenor to click until eventually you show up to this undead dwarf. And you know it's an undead dwarf because he lives in a dwarf home, and it's a little tiny skeleton. So, look, there's proof right there that they're going to have different models for the undead. the end.
I believe
But-
you. Maybe we'll find
Okay.
them
I hope
in
so.
the Shadowlands.
I hope so. In the Shadowlands. But so you go talk to him. You after that you get a whole bunch of other random gear that you have to put on to talk to him, and then you go around the world and then do random emotes to 4 different people. And then you come back and he's like, "Oh, that's great, but I want soup." So then you go out and you click on a potato 144 times, and then you go back into his house, and then he's all like, "Oh, you can have the thing that's on top of my house," and then you get the waste of time. And it's a freaking awesome transmog belt.
So you had to click on the potato an actual gross number of times.
144 times, yeah, because you need to have the stinky, rotten potato smell or something debuff on you 144 times.
Wow.
So yeah, 144 stacks of rotten potato smell. Booyah. But I gotta tell you, it is a really cool belt, and I'm super excited about it. It's a golden like clock, and the second hand on it moves, and then when it goes around, like the minute hand moves, and it's really neat, and I freaking love it, and I think it's awesome, and it took a lot of time to get, and I transmogged into it, and I changed my entire outfit to kind of match and stuff. And it's just one of those little stupid things that got me so excited and so happy. And I'm like, I got me a waste of time. It is really cool. And I had a lot of fun with it.
That's awesome. It looks great. I saw it in Raid.
Ben, you
That's
seem
right, you're right.
excited. You seem happy about it. You don't feel
I
you don't
am.
feel duped by this process. I take
No.
it. Because here's the
Because
thing.
all
There's a thing
all the-
that happens in video games, and
Mhm.
it bugs me a little bit, to be honest. And
Okay.
that is, it bugs me, but every now and then it works, and it gets me to laugh. And I guess I'm trying to find out if this works for you. So the
Okay.
most recent example I have of this is from the game Assassin's Creed Odyssey. There's a quest. This guy sends you on a mission. You go, you perform a task. You basically run across the city. You do a task for him. You come back, and then he's like, "Great, I'm glad you were able to get that for me. Now I need you to go back over there and do this." And he sends you right back to the exact same spot that you just were to now perform another task. And your character takes a moment to say, "The next time you want me to do 2 things, tell me both things, and I will do them at the same time and then come back." And it's really funny, and you're like, "Haha, that's a good point." But then you have to run back there and do it, and you're like, "Well, okay, yeah, she had a point, but at the same time, I still had to do the thing, and I'm still a little upset about it." So I see the joke. They had you do a bunch of shit, and then they
Yeah,
gave you a waste
literally.
of time for doing it, and it's a funny joke. But ultimately, you're like, "Nope, I was happy with it. It was fun. I had a good time."
Yeah.
It looks
Yeah.
great.
It's a really cool belt. Like I'm not even kidding about this. I think it's really awesome, and I'm glad I put the time into getting it. Now the thing is that it is just a lot of travel time, but I don't know if like cheese the system is really the right word for it, but because I did it on my monk, it worked really well for me because if I didn't have like my Dalaran Hearthstone up, I would use my regular Hearthstone, which gets me to the Great Seal, which has the Orgrimmar portal right there, which means I could just pop in there, go anywhere I needed to go. If I needed to go to Drano for some reason, I had my Garrison Hearthstone. If for some reason that didn't work, I'd use my Transcendence and go to my Order Hall and then take that portal to Orgrimmar and then take the portal somewhere else. So it's like I went to Orgrimmar probably, let's see, there's like 14 steps or something like that just for this part of it. I probably went there like 20, 25 times just to get everywhere that I needed to go. And I was perfectly fine with that. And like overall, it was fun. I'm just going through, and I didn't have to decode any of the things that everybody else in the Secret Keepers thing decoded already, and I ended up with a really, kick butt transmog out of the whole thing.
Sounds like it was more interesting than the Murloc trading that we're doing in Nazjatar. Have you done that, Ben?
I haven't started that at all because I don't have a cloak that lets me see everything that's available, so I don't give a crap.
Gotcha. Yeah, we Hunts found the rare Mercolo, and you have to have the cloak equipped when you rescue him. You rescue him from a cage, and then he goes, "Oh, hey!" And he turns into a merchant for about 5 minutes, and you can buy the tentacle taco from him. I'm trying to remember the names. And then once you have that, you can go back to the Murlocs that you rescued and that are now sitting in your base camp and do a whole bunch of trading to get a Tide Stallion mount, which is an awesome seahorse mount that we now have. So
Yes, I did see that, and it's a very cool seahorse. Which I find it weird that the seahorse mounts, unlike the one from Vashir, the new ones have like horse legs.
well, because they can fly.
Yeah,
They can go in water, they can go on land, and they can fly. They're awesome.
it's weird.
I know. So, John, have you seen the Murlocs or rescued the Murlocs at all?
No, I don't know what that is.
He doesn't
Okay.
know what Nagitar
I
is.
haven't gotten to Mechagon yet. Last week I took the quest, and this week I'm like, still haven't done it.
So you end up with 4 Murlocs, and John's gonna hate this. I know is describing it. They sell a white quality item, 2 green quality items, a blue quality item, and with the cloak, they have a purple quality item. But to buy like the purple quality item, you have to go to the other 3 vendors and use the white quality from this vendor to buy the green quality from this vendor to buy the blue quality from this vendor to do this. And we're not talking like one, John. We're talking like 516 of one, because you need 3 per item that you're going to buy over here to trade, to buy for 5 over here to trade him to give 1. You need an external spreadsheet just to do this silly trading game.
That's right.
But hey, I
up
got a
your
mount
alley,
out of
Ted.
it, and I'm happy with it.
Wow, that sounds fun.
It's hey, I got a mount out of it. Like, I think Ben had more fun.
Look, I mean, you get a mount out of it. I got a belt. John got a quest. I mean, we're all getting things.
Yeah,
in
we're
one
all
right
getting
now.
things. We've all.
Hey,
It's working out pretty well.
So, John, you haven't been to Mechagon.
No, I have the quest. I talked to Gazlo.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. That's a start.
Yeah.
So, have you gathered his crew yet?
No, I just talked to him.
Okay. Gotcha.
So hey, Gazlo, I liked you in Heroes of the
Right,
Storm.
I was like, oh look, it's
See you
Gazlo.
later.
I'm gonna go play Heroes. He's in that game. I can gather
You
his
just get
crew
sidetracked
way faster.
every single time.
Yeah. Oh, Gazlo? Sweet. Gazlo's here, everybody.
Yeah. Hey, where's this big mecha clown thing? I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's Gazlo.
So, no, John, the reason I ask is, do you remember the heady days of patch 5.1?
No, not by. You gotta tell me what that is.
That was
Pandaria one.
Oh,
That was the
right, the
Pandaria-
one we liked. Yeah.
Yes, the one where you
the
had
one
to,
patch out of in the entire World of Warcraft that we enjoy.
Yes, the patch.
the one that we say, hey, could you use this model again?
Uh-huh.
Well, no, the only reason I bring it up is I kind of feel like that's what's missing from Najatar and Mechagon, because honestly, John, once you get past the, hey, go get Gazlo's crew, go to the island and do a couple things, that's it for story. You're just like,
yeah.
meh. And I think had they done something more of, okay, you landed here and now you've got to build up a base or build up, a little, it's just like, oh, look, we stumbled on this cave fully furnished with, giblins and merchants and things like that. So now you can just go do world quests. No. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that
Look.
actually brings up a topic I've been wanting to talk about, which is the pacing of the story in World of Warcraft. And I think right now...
There's a story?
Well, see, but that's the reaction that so many people give. So many people these days are like, the story's bad. The story's bad. Right now, we're dealing with a bad story. I don't think we are. I think we actually have a really good story that has been spread out and pulled so far over a period of time that the sense and the sensibility is that it doesn't exist. You know, like a
No,
piece of gum. It's been stretched so far that it's just a little wisp of a thing between
Right.
your hands, and as a result, I think it's easy to get to where, you know, I've kind of found myself, which is I don't care about this. Why do I care about Nagitar? I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't given me a reason to care.
No, I
Like, it sounds like I might care when we go to the Shadowlands. But right now, I don't particularly care. And, you know, so they're telling me, oh, this is important. This is important story. And I'm going, why? Because right now, what
Yeah.
you've sold me on is that the Horde and Alliance are fighting. Sylvanas is acting weird. We need to deal with this. We need to come together. We need to, you know, we need to rally. We need to finish this war. We need to finish this fight. And I feel like if they had moved that story forward, it might have felt weird to us because we're like, oh, wow, we're wrapping up the premise of this entire expansion very early in the expansion. But if they did that, they could then move on to tell a Najatar story that made a little more sense, or at least find a more natural way to tie it in. But what's happening in my brain is sort of something that happened in Legion, although I think they were a little better at it with Legion, which is they throw all this stuff and they say, this is what the story's about. And then they pad it out and push that like conclusion out so far that you lose sight of it and you forget why you're doing it. And
Yeah.
all condensed, it might be a really great story. And we might look at it and go, oh, wow, all together in one package, this is neat. But all spread out the way it is, in the moment, they're having a hard time making me care or be interested in anything story related at the moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. That is, it's not the story, it's the pacing. Because it's, you get into Nazjatar and like you said, you're like, so I'm trying to not spoil the raid, but then you've already spoiled it for yourself. So
Yeah, go ahead.
one of the bosses that we fought, John, was Lady Ashvane.
Right.
We walked into
And-
that fight, and I said, "Why does she look like this?"
Right. Because Ben hadn't done the part of the campaign story yet to find out why she looked like that.
Yeah, I haven't done the Alliance side yet because I've been so busy trying to get flying and wasting my time getting other stuff.
Yeah.
Instead of playing on the Alliance side.
Right. But even if you play on the Alliance side, that the pacing is just, it's lethargic. And you're right, John. I think that's, if the story's not there, you have to rely on the mechanics to keep you interested in that, which is right now the world quests and the bodyguard system in Nazjatar and the rares in Mechagon. And if that doesn't interest you, punch the time card, you're out. I'll go find something else to do. And I think that's the big problem, is they're not moving the story fast enough, or they're not engaging you to tell the story in the game fast enough. I think it's a good story, but I'm like you. I'm like, where's the next part? Because they need to hurry up with this. I'm getting tired of this. Can we get 9-0, please? Just move on.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big things that, especially for us who, we enjoy the leveling process because you get a whole bunch of story right there, and it's all condensed in this nice little package of, hey, you're leveling up. This is cool. We have a whole story to tell. And then all of a sudden you get to end game, and then it's like, okay, hold on. And then, we wait for the next patch or something. And then Blizzard does the best that they can, I guess, when they have to throw 80 different types of content into one thing. And their focus is so spread out that it's like not enough for anybody. So, for someone like us who we really want the story, I mean, if they had like a 5.1 style of storytelling, going through as you're progressing your rep and everything, then we would at least have something like kind of, luring us further and further into it to see what's going on, as opposed to just, hey, you get flying. And I think that Nazjatar is an incredibly cool place that has a lot of story to tell. Same with Mechagon. But because it basically turned into the obstacle of getting flying, as opposed to, being super exploratory and stuff, which I know that there are people out there who love it, who think it's great, who like to explore every nook and cranny and everything, and that's great. And I'm glad that you have that. Just some people need to be enticed a little bit more.
Well, yeah,
And because
Keep
just
going.
because it's the story is so front loaded in any expansion, that's kind of all we get until maybe the end raid when they tied that story up, and there's this huge gap in between where I don't know if it's because they're more focused on mechanics and game design than actually having a whole throughput in storytelling or not, but it's something that it's definitely noticed when there I don't know, there isn't exactly the content to pull the people who are focusing on that story in.
The other thing that they're running into, and this is I think kind of Legion, not rose colored glasses, maybe just Legion was a good expansion, because during the downtime of the main story, you had 12 other stories that you could go work on from your class story to kind of fill in that void. So it was like, yeah, the main story you've gotten current with the main story, great. Now I'm going to take some time and go work on an alt because they've got a great story in their class order hall that I want to see. We don't have that this expansion, so for me it's kind of hard to even want to flip over to an alt and work on it, because it's like I'm doing it 100% the same thing again with no variation.
Well, if you look at the way that the story has been done in previous expansions, and you look at the points that we've kind of made in the past, Legion generally we're pretty positive on it. We're like, oh, that was a really good expansion, that was a really good time. But one of the things that we used to talk about a lot on Legion was, yeah, these zones are cool, but it's a lot of setup to no payoff. And there was this weird disconnect in the early days of Legion of, this is so cool, this is so big, look at the way the story's building, and then a drop off. And then it was like, oh, now go do something for the Tauren, now go see what Sylvanas is up to in dealing with Hela, or whatever her name is. Is it Hela in this world, or am I getting
Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah.
I'm
It's
getting
close.
Marvel
Yeah.
confused. So much
That's okay.
overlap now. Thor,
I know.
Thorum, we're all there. Anyway,
Locum.
And there'll be more when
Locum.
Disney buys Activision anyway.
Well, and I mean, we're just going to see more of it in the Shadowlands. But the thing is there was a weird story pace there. But then we started getting the patches, and the patches made sense. It was, okay, we have a demon invasion. Now you're going to go to the Tomb of Sargeras. You're going to push him back. And then it was, okay, we're going to follow through the portal. We're going to go after him. We're going to go fight him on their home world. And all those stories had a very logical conclusion to, like, they had conclusion points to the story. Yes, we fought back the demon invasion, but that's not the end of the story. Obviously, there's more we have to do. We have to go see what's going on with Illidan, and we have to go see what's going on with these demons, and let's go fight them on Argus and all of that. And there was a whole bunch of stuff that just kind of had a logical progression. I think that's part of why Legion was so good. If you look at Wrath of the Lich King, another expansion that typically gets a lot of credit for being a very good, very solid story, there's a logic to the story of the Lich King. Yes, we didn't go to Northrend and fight the Lich King right away, the end. It got drawn out like most of them do. But there was a logic to, okay, we have to take out his generals. Okay, now we have to keep progressing towards Icecrown. Ulduar was a bit of a distraction, like a little kind of out of the blue, but I think it gets a pass because it's also like the best raid they ever made. So I think a lot of people kind of give it a little bit of a pass. They're like, okay, yeah, Ulduar was a little weird, but
Yeah.
it was also
Basically,
amazing, so we're going to overlook it this time.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
a crazy dwarf shows up and is all like, "Oh, the world's gonna end. We should probably do this."
And
Like, okay.
they did do a decent enough job. That's a good point. They had that cinematic where it's like the Horde and Alliance are getting ready, and you see their conflict kind of building, and he shows up. They still kind of gave enough of a nod to it where you kind of got why we were doing it.
Yeah.
But then, the Argent tournament is building to Ice Crown, and then Ice Crown happens, and yeah, it all falls apart after that. But the the core story itself was really solid. And I would argue that that's been the case with a lot of their stronger expansions. It's the case with Pandaria. You kind of learn about the place, and then there's kind of a building and understanding the Shaw energy and what that might actually be, and then a power play comes in and builds on that, and then, next thing you know, we're off to Orgrimmar to go fight Gary. And I think when you look at what we have here, you don't have that logical throughput. I'm not exactly sure why we're in Najatar. I'm not exactly sure why I'm going to Mechagon, especially right after I got to Najatar. They're like, "Hi, welcome.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Gazlo wants to talk to you. What's going on, Gazlo? I want to send you to Mechagon." Why? I'm under the water right now. Like, literally, I'm doing something. Can we not right now? And it just there's a disconnect. And no matter where the story might go that might make this make sense, like Shadowlands, we're not there yet. So right now I'm just kind of going, why do I care about this? And I think that's what they need to figure out, how to make people care.
It's funny, as we're talking about this, I totally forgot about the whole Bane plot point and like that whole thing. I'm just like, yeah, we didn't really get any story with this patch. Oh no, wait, we did. It was a big thing that happened after 3 quests, and that's it.
Well, and that's the whole thing. I mean, we went and rescued Bane, and the last part of the Bane thing is, and now she's going to come to, the capital
Thunder Bluff.
Thunder Bluff, and burn it. And you're like, okay, see, you got to go by.
Yeah, I got to go be under the water. Look, I know she's going to come burn down Thunder Bluff, but we have to drive these boats across the ocean for a little bit.
Following a dagger?
Yeah. The Alliance who successfully infiltrated our capital and then just poofed out of existence. We gotta now go play chase boats in the ocean, and then go do that for a little bit, and then maybe go deal with a junkyard, and then we'll be good.
I feel like there's a lot of interconnecting story pieces that would get filled in if this were a novel, but because it's not a novel, we're not seeing how all this connects, and maybe we will. But I think right now it's just a lot of, here's an interesting gameplay piece. Why don't you go enjoy that, and we'll connect it a little bit with the story, and then we'll get back to it later. And
so, do you think that a lot of what we're seeing is because they decided to split the story in 2? So that it is only Horde, only Alliance, and you only get your side. I mean, granted, there are things that kind of cross over. We see, cutscenes that kind of cover both and everything like that. But because it is just so specific to, hey guys, the Horde gets their own stuff and the Alliance gets their own stuff. Has it like changed storytelling to the point where we're not getting the whole story, obviously, but because of that, we're actually only getting half of a story, and we're just feeling it more than we did in previous expansions.
I think there's a way to do a unreliable narrator, which we saw them attempt this expansion.
In the raid,
to do a case of, well, when a Horde person tells you what happened, they say it this way. When an Alliance person says it, they say it this way. And there's an interesting thing you can do with that between the two factions, but each of those stories needs to feel complete, and I don't think that's what they did this expansion. I think you feel like you have an incomplete story.
I think, Ben, having played both sides to completion right now, I'm current on the war campaign on both sides, I feel like I've got half of the story. Like a quarter is Horde, a quarter is Alliance, and there's a whole half of the story that's missing. What is Sylvanas up to? Why did we follow Nathanos and the dagger on the Horde side, to the middle of the ocean, and why didn't he react when all of a sudden this, it's like, that's the thing that bugs me, is like, if you watch the cinematic, Nathanos doesn't even react to the beam of light coming up and the whole thing. He's just like,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I expected. And so it's like there's a lot going on behind the scenes that normally I think we have a little bit more access to or hints of what's going on.
Yeah.
But right now, we don't know where Sylvanas is. We don't know why Thunderbluff is still standing, according to Bane. Where did Thrall go after dealing with Jaina? And so all these pieces, and you're waiting for the next story beat, and like John says, until that story beat happens, you're just not engaging me right now with the story. So
This is exactly why I stopped watching Lost, because they just threw so many pieces out there. There's like, hey, eventually.
Well, and that's a good point because when we heard them talk about, um, it happened with Legion, and it also happened a little bit with this. They've kind of done it in both expansions, where it was like, we're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna talk about this, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're putting like every fan theory in the world in these expansions,
right.
between Legion and this one, and I think the warning we should have taken from that is they're throwing so much at the wall that like the problem is maybe something is really interesting to you and then that doesn't get followed up. We ran into that a lot
Yeah.
with the Gen Greymane Sylvanas stuff
Mhm.
in Legion, or it just drags on too long because they can't finish that story because they've decided no, this has to be the end point, and I don't think they're doing that well. And
No.
I want to make it clear because I did see in the chat room someone say, Metzen explains how the story in WoW works, and I heard that interview with Scott too, and he said, you kind of have a through line, and then you kind of have filler stories as you're getting through the through line. But I think this expansion is failing to do that,
Yeah.
whereas I think other expansions have succeeded because
Mhm.
the problem is in that through line to get from it can't be from A to B. It has to be from A to D, and then you have your B and C in the middle. Like there has to be some connective tissue
I can
that
see
you're
that.
going
Yeah.
through, and that is what is missing in this particular case for me. I think that maybe there is some stuff there. I think maybe there's some stuff that if I was paying more attention in Najatar, or being a little bit more engaged with the content, maybe I would get more out of it. But the problem is that because I don't understand it yet, because they want to keep the cards behind their back and not show me, I'm not interested. So for the
Yeah.
first time in a long time, I'm skipping quest text. I'm not really reading it. I'm just letting the map guide me. People are talking. I don't care. I'm watching Netflix. Like, you haven't convinced me to be interested in your story, and that's the first step, and they failed on that. And so it might be a case of, oh well, we'll get you back, we'll get you pulled in because it's going to be interesting, but you failed to get me to begin with. That's the problem.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
it's a. Go ahead,
Go-
Ted.
no, I was just gonna say, like, John, part of what I keep stumbling over this is there are agents of the Black Prince in Najatar. And it's like, why are you here? Oh, don't worry about it. Shh. don't let them know I'm here, And it's like, okay, so why is Rathion being brought in now? What are they leading up to? It's just another one of those things that you're like, these are all really interesting things. Can we move it forward? Now, having said that, I'm exalted with both factions, Mechagon and Najatar. John,
You're
there
you're a
is no
good
more
man.
story. No, there's no more story past what you initially get in the intro to the zone and the end of the raid. That's it. There is nothing that, like you like we did in 5.1 where it's like, oh, now I'm this much further in the reps, so I get more
Mhm.
story. There's no new story at Exalted. I'm just telling you.
Well, that's a bit of a bummer there, but I
Yeah.
mean, the thing is that putting those through lines, those throughput, storytelling moments and stuff is so much more key, I would say, now than anything else, because you know a, a lot of times, and I know that this definitely doesn't go with everybody, But WoW has turned into a lot of like comfort gaming for a lot of people, so that they are going to have other stuff going on, or not paying full attention and stuff. So if you don't have that giant, hey, look at this, what's going on, you are going to miss a lot of neat stuff. Like the only reason that I knew about where the knife came from and everything like that is because Tet, you posted in our raid Discord of, hey, these are the world quests that you want to do to progress the story along. Which, if you never did any of the Naga world quests, you wouldn't have gotten any of that information and
I
stuff.
still
And
haven't.
I thought,
There's a ton that I'm missing right now because
Yeah.
I didn't
it's
do
a cool
them.
quest line. It's a really cool quest line, and it still doesn't give you, in my opinion, even close to enough information on it. But it's one of those things where it at least opens up the door to give you a little bit of what's going on. And I gotta say, it's interesting, it's cool, and it's like one step out of 8 that I need to actually be satisfied by the story.
Yeah, I think that's the big piece. Like so I had been ignoring islands mainly because I had gotten my before the expansion, before this patch hit, we'd kept our neck at 50, and so it didn't make sense to do islands because you were just getting like stuff out of it that wasn't really compelling for me. But now I found out, oh, if you do the island 3 weeks in a row, there's story clues that come out, and you get, I think, either rank 3 or rank 4 of the essence that comes from the island. So I'm like, oh, I have to go look this up and find out what's going on. And sure enough, I did my islands today earlier, completed it for the week, and it's like, here's part 1 of 3 of this story that you're now uncovering on the islands for this essence. I'm like, okay, that's good. But if you don't play islands, there's nothing to tell you, hey, there's more story over here. And I think that's, I think that's part of it. Is I like that they let you discover stuff so it's a surprise, but I think on the other hand, they need to let you know, hey, this is over here, so you can go find it a little bit more obviously. Like they did John. So when you get to Mechagon, you'll have the benefit of this. They used to not show the some of the the daily quests on the overhead map. You could only see it on the little mini map, or if you got near the mob. So you basically had to explore the whole island to find 2 out of the 6 daily quests that they do. And they finally decided, oh, we're not getting those engaged enough. So now you can see all 6 on the mini map when you get there every day. I'm like,
Oh, fantastic! Because
Yeah,
I
so-
never found everything.
right. So it's well, no, but it's little stuff like that I get that there's stuff for discovery, but you've got to balance that with people who don't have a lot of time to play and need that engagement immediately.
It's like they don't understand the rewards behind it, like what the reward needs to be. It's like, and not to say that Ben and I influenced it, but I'm saying this as a quote that Ben and I said many times, which was, man, 5.1 was great because story was the reward for doing dailies.
Yeah.
That is not, hey, go out there and hide story behind all the content you want people to engage in. Like,
Right.
you can't say, this expansion, one of my biggest issues, and Ben, you and I have talked about this, is that it feels like them coming in and saying, this is how we want you to play World of Warcraft. Will you please play World of Warcraft the way we want you to? And you have a lot of players going, wait a minute, this is supposed to be the world. Like, we're supposed to be
Right.
able to just go do what we want. And you're sitting here, and every time I start to just say, oh, well, this is maybe my little niche that I'm going to be happy in, and my little bubble, Big Blizzard has to come in and be like, no. Do islands. Do raids. Why aren't you raiding? Why aren't you doing heroic dungeons? Look, we want you to do this. This is what you do. And we're just like, can't we just have fun in your game? And they're like, no. You can't have fun in our game. You have to do this. You have to do your islands. It's like, I don't want to do islands. Too bad. That's where we're going to put the story now. That's where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. You need to let the story be the story. And it's funny because, and I hate to bring up another MMO, but I really
There are no other
appreciate
MMOs, John.
that Final Fantasy XIV. I nearly quit that game early on because they make it very clear what is a story quest and what isn't. And they have a story. Like, you go in, they're like, this is the story quest. You
Here's
will
the
continue
through
to
line.
see this icon, and whenever you see this icon, that's the story quest. And if you don't do the quest, the story does not continue. That's it. And they cut it off. They're like, no, that's it. And I was like, okay, that's fine, that's cool. And I was doing it, and going. And then eventually, it got to a point where it was like, story quest is a dungeon. And I was like, I don't want to run a dungeon. And they're like, well, story quest is a dungeon. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I was sitting there like, I was pissed. I was like, I don't want to do dungeons. Like, this isn't my main MMO. This is my casual on the side MMO that I'm going to have fun with every now and then. I don't want to go into dungeons, and I don't want to deal with this. And it was like, well, that's where the story quest is. So you have a decision to make. That's it. Final Fantasy out, and it dropped the microphone. And I was like, shit. All right, I guess I got to do this dungeon. So I did the dungeon. I had a great experience. Everybody was very nice. Everything was fine. And I flew through it, and it wasn't the end of the world. And it was fine content. And at the end, the story quest continued and progressed and moved forward. And I was like, okay. That wasn't painful. That wasn't awful. But they drew their line in the sand and said, no, this is it. And there's something I respect about that. And WoW doesn't do that. First of all, WoW hides its story all over the place to where I can be in a position where I'm technically doing stuff that makes no sense to me because I didn't see the stuff leading up to it. And people are coming up to me and they're like, hey, remember the time you did the dagger and stuff? And I'm like, what? No? What? And they're like, well, remember King Rosticon died? And I'm like, King Rosticon died? What? And then I'm like, just kidding. I saw that on YouTube. And that's kind of what my story experience is right now. I wish WoW took a hard line with it and just said, this is the story. If you want to see it, these are the places you have to go and these are the things you have to do.
Yeah.
The area I don't trust WoW is that they didn't make me run that dungeon 8 times. They made me run that dungeon once. One time to see the story. And then that was it. And then I moved on. And I don't trust that Blizzard wouldn't come in and go, all right, well, we're going to put the story on Island Expedition. So you just have to do 17. 17, you're done. You're ready to move on and you can see something else. And because we really want to make sure that you're doing content for the next 7 months. I don't trust them in that regard, but I do wish they would do a hard line and set the story and avoid this mess, whatever this is.
I can tell you specifically that the Horde got it easy when it comes to forced dungeons and story. Because on the Alliance side, it's, okay, run these dungeons to finish the story of the zone and everything.
Yeah.
And then, oh, you want to do the war mode? Well, guess what? You have to do all these dungeons on Heroic.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I'm just like, oh, I'm glad I never did them because I get credit for both now.
Yeah.
But, okay, so one thing that I want to point out, because I'm pretty sure that someone who actually listens to our show, which, I mean, I know there aren't many, someone is thinking, but hey, didn't they say that they want to have cool stuff out there where if you explore, you find certain things and stuff like that, which is something that, John, you and I have definitely talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
The big difference with this is that main story should not be one of those things.
Correct.
And that's the biggest thing that like irks me. You know, I would love to be able to go around and say, oh, this is where the main story goes. And you know what? They started doing that with different colored exclamation points. You know, you knew what was war mode, what was, you know, key to the big main story. And I'm like, that's great. But now if it's hiding under Island Expeditions, I'll probably never see it because, one, I don't go to islands because they always screw up my order. And two, I don't have a lot of fun doing the expeditions. And it's just one of those things where it's like, unless I, you know, am digging through every single little bit of bits that I can find on WoW Insider or WoWhead or whatever, I don't do that because, one, I like, you know, to be able to see all the story stuff when I'm playing the game. And it's great. But if I have to dig for every single little bit to find everything that's going on, it just takes me one out of the game, like literally, to a different website to figure out what's up. And two, it just makes it like, oh, well, okay, I get that I have to play the game in order to see the story, but like John, you were saying, there's certain aspects of this game, and you know what? Seeing story through, like, say, questing, which is how you get it while you're leveling, which is 99% of how we get story, that's a good way to keep doing it.
Yeah. No, I agree, because John, the thing I like, and I don't know if you caught on to this, but in the upper left hand corner when you're in Final Fantasy 14 is the main story quest.
Mm-hmm.
It's always there. So if you ever lose track of what you're supposed to be doing, you just move the mouse up, you click it, and it will bring up that quest. Right below that bar is your class story quest. So if you don't realize, oh hey, I've made it 5 more levels and there's a new class story quest, it'll put that right under that bar. So the two main things that they want you to pay attention to in the UI are in, your upper left hand corner of your screen at all times, saying this is where the story leads, this is the secondary story that's part of your class, and it's always on the screen. It's always there for you, unless you actually go into the UI editor and hide it. But I think that's the big difference. Is a lot of what we're starting to run into now is, hey, here's mechanically how we're going to keep you interested in the game because we're not pacing the story fast enough.
Right. It feels like here's our way to force you into enjoying the content because we can't let you just enjoy it on its own, which is a shame. And I don't mean to turn this, even though it kind of has become this, into an hour of me doing personal therapy because I'm frustrated with the story of this expansion, but it has kind of become that. But it's such a hard thing for me because one of the things, like when we started this whole thing, is I hear so many people saying the story's so bad, and I just don't think it's true because we wouldn't care this much if it was bad. If we did, if the story was bad, who cares?
Really
Who cares then that it's all over the place and we're not getting very much of it and it doesn't make a lot of sense? It's bad because of how it's being presented to us. It's bad because of how they're dragging it out. But it's not bad in and of itself at its core. And I just need to see it come together. And I think what's so infuriating is we're saying two things that shouldn't be happening at the same time. We're like, there's so many threads. There's so many threads all over the place. What's going on with this? What's going on with this? What are these guys up to? Why are we here? Why are we there? Why are we doing this thing? There's so much lore and story that's currently been thrown up in the air and yet to come down that you literally could say, okay, Island Expeditions, this expansion is going to tell the story of whatever. That could be Magni's story.
Right.
And they could just say, if you're interested in Magni's story, do the Island Expedition. That's where that story is going to be contained. That's where it's going to be told. And maybe I'm sitting there going, I don't really like Island Expeditions. But damn it, I'm just so involved in Magni being a diamond. I got to check this out. I want to know what's going on here. Set your side stories there. We're literally sitting here telling you there's so many side stories in this game that aren't paying off. That's where you should put this other content. That's where these things should be. And then find a way to keep that main story involved and going and progressing and make me understand why we are at where we're at and doing what we're doing. And definitely don't make me sit there going, is none of this going to pay off until we get to the Shadowlands?
So, you know what other plot thread I totally forgot about until just now, since it's been so long since anything's had anything to do with it? Who told Vol'jin to, have Sylvanas run the Horde?
Well, Ben, we're going to find out about that in the Shadowlands.
The
Shadowlands.
John, does it almost feel like this is the point in the expansion, or right before this expansion launched, that there should have been released on the website like one of their 6 to 8 page short stories, or even like a mid-expansion novel that covered some part of it, because it's like, I still want to know. Sorry, Mike. I still want to know what's up with Kelly Amenethil. I want to know where that whole, the whole thing that started this is going from. I mean, that whole Before the Storm novel. That's what's frustrating. Is you're right. There are so many good. What about this plot? What about this plot? What about this story piece? What about this story beat? And it almost feels like we're heading to wrap up one of them, maybe two, and we're not going to get answers for anything else. And it's a little frustrating.
It is.
Well, I mean, just remember that explosive ending to the Sylvanas Gen Greymane, encounter and stuff that happened. I mean, that was really
I mean, that's the thing. There's so many things, and I get people saying, well, they want to tease it. They don't want to just, introduce an element and then pay it off and all of that. But you have to pay off something at some point. Like, there are still balls in the air from Legion that have yet to fall back down. I'm sure there are some from, threads that have been abandoned long before that. But, I mean, we talked about this mostly during Legion, where it felt like they just took everything and went, and said, we're going to get back to this eventually. And now we're most of the way through another expansion, and elements of that still haven't paid off. The new concepts they've now thrown up haven't paid off. Who knows what Shadowlands is going to pay off? Like, none of it is landing. None of it's hitting. The only thing we've managed to wrap up was the Legion.
Okay, Wicked Kid nailed it. She said Blizzard is the Deckard Cain of storytelling.
It's true.
Well,
like,
and listen.
Deckard Cain mixed with Abe Simpson. Just
yeah. I can see that.
Now, that's when we fought back the Legion. Now, at the same time, we were also fighting amongst ourselves. It was a battle for Azeroth. But also, we went to Nazjatar, and then we went to Mechagon, because we needed to pick up pieces of junk and turn it into other junk. But also, Legion. That's...
Yeah. Do you guys remember there's a giant sword sticking out of our planet?
What?
Yeah, every time. Okay, wait. Ben, okay, I get a mini rant and I'm done. So John, I hit 50. Hang on. 56. No, because you get it at what?
52 is the first one.
52 is the first one, then 55 you unlock it. So, yeah, whatever it was, I hit the next one where basically it's like you get 3% stamina.
Wait, what are we talking about?
The necklace.
You'll never get there.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah, not going to be an issue. I don't care about Azerite. Azerite
no, I know.
Can go back into the earth.
No, but hang on about it. This is what's so funny, because Ben mentioned there's a sword sticking out. You literally, you get to a part on the neck where it's click this button to gain 3% more stamina. I'm like, oh, okay, click the button. Click the button. You must do that at the Heartforge. Are you serious? You're telling me that I literally have to drop everything I'm doing to go all the way to Silithus, to go into the Heartforge, to click on the Heartforge in the Heart Room, to press a button on the necklace to get 3%. Okay, there better be story when I do this. I get there, I hit the button. There's no story. I'm like, you literally made me drop everything I was doing, go all the way to Silithus, into the Heart Room, to click a button. Blizzard, what's wrong with you?
Click the button to feel immersed, Tetsemi. Do you feel immersed? Feel our immersion. Feel our immersion wash over you.
Press F to feel immersed.
Don't you like the necklace more now? Isn't this more fun?
The essence system, yes. The essence system is more engaging for me and my play style. I will admit that. But having to go all the way to Silithus to click on a button on the necklace is a bit ridiculous. I'm sorry. If there's no story involved. Had they used it as a mechanism to get me to that heart room, and there was a quest waiting for me that only showed up when the necklace hit a certain level, and that was the mechanism to get me there to tell more story, I'd have been happy and you wouldn't hear me complaining. But because I had to go and just click on a button and there was no story, yeah, I'm going to complain. Sorry.
So really quick, I just want to talk about the Heart of Azeroth for a moment.
Okay. Go ahead.
It was useful to me.
Ooh,
I got
what
it.
did you get,
I
man?
got an ability. It was useful to me. It was, I think it's the first one you get. It's like you click on it, and all of a sudden my mana regen is like doubled.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Which, as a healer, if you're not casting, you start getting mana back. So far in some of the most mana-intensive fights that we've had in Raid, there have been plenty of times where it's like, hey, at this point, if I click this, I don't have to worry about everybody dying, and I can just get some mana back. And it has been so freaking nice and so helpful, and I love it. And it reminds me of all those times when, I don't know, in previous expansions, when mana regen and abilities to regen mana was a thing, and it has made my healing so much more fun.
Yeah,
'Cause it's
Spencer
like-
says it's lucid dreams is the name of the essence.
Ah, gotcha. But yeah, it's just one of the great things where all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I'm low on mana. Oh, we need to swim across this giant crevice. Click. Swim, 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 swim.
Look, my
Well,
mana's full.
Well, Ben,
Doing stuff.
that sounds great.
Yeah, they're going to shut it off because it's fun.
Let me tell you about when this expansion ends and they take that away so that you can grind to get it back.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Okay. So this actually showed up in our Discord, and it's something that it kind of just hit me, and I see a story reason for stuff that happened, which pissed me off because I'm like, dang it, Blizzard, you justified taking away all our cool stuff. And that was last expansion, one of the reasons we felt so awesome and so cool and had all these abilities is because of those artifact weapons. And then we gave up all that power and lost all those abilities to stop a sword that's still in Azeroth. That part kind of pisses me off. Right. But it's like, okay, of course we're not gonna be as awesome champions and stuff as we were before because we no longer have those weapons. It's a story thing and it makes sense. And I hate that it makes sense in my mind now because I miss my weapons so much, and I still think that we should have kept them and all the abilities. But
so Spencer said, has John experienced the Kamehameha yet? The focusing iris essence. Here's what I have to say to you, Spencer. I don't know. I don't know how the essence system works because as much as that quest was, I don't understand their stupid new system, and I don't give a shit enough to try and figure it out. Remember earlier?
I'll fill you in really quick.
Remember earlier when I talked about how I was confused at how red mages worked and I YouTubed it to find out? I don't care enough to YouTube it to find out. I have a new button on my hotbar. I clicked it. There was no special effect that I would describe as a Kamehameha, but I do think it did damage. So, I don't know. I clicked a button, it did damage. If that's what we're talking about, it was underwhelming, to say the very least.
Okay, I will tell you how you get it. I don't even know where it is, but I can tell you how you get it.
Okay, how do I
So
get
what
it?
happens is you shift right click on your necklace or whatever, and then you're going to have a list of all these different things that Blizzard's going to force you to play some sort of way that you don't want to in order to get the one that you want.
Okay.
So like the Kamehameha might actually be like do island expeditions to get this one.
Right. so
Or
I
it
won't
might
get
be
that.
do mythic pluses to get this one. Exactly. So you're
Won't
never
get
going to
that.
get it.
Yeah.
But that's how you get it.
Oh, okay.
Is by
Great.
playing how Blizzard tells you to.
What a fun system.
So, can we end this on a happy note?
I'm having so much fun in Raid right now.
Thank you.
This Raid tier has been
awesome.
phenomenal, and I
Yeah.
love it. It's tuned right for our group, and I know the last two bosses are going to kill us.
Yeah,
But we're making forward progress. We actually, and maybe it's tuned a little too easy for us, but I don't think so because I know our Raid team.
This makes up for the last one. Trust me.
But
Yeah.
like on Wednesday, we killed 2 new bosses. We're 5 of 8, and it's what 2-3 weeks into the Raid tier.
Yeah.
But this this feels like the difficulty that's right for us.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying it so much. And granted, there's so much personal responsibility still in this raid, but for the most part, if a random, member of our team or something does something wrong, it doesn't wipe the entire raid.
Yeah.
And I am loving it.
Yeah,
It's challenging enough, but not like debilitating. And it's like the perfect level for us.
And honestly, John, you're not going to believe me, so don't worry. You can just skip this part. But
Okay.
the trash isn't horrible. There isn't a whole lot of trash between bosses. We've wiped more on the trash than we have the bosses. But
Some of them, yeah.
yeah.
What part of that
There's-
did you think I was gonna be okay with? You're wiping
Well,
on
John,
trash?
I didn't think you were. Yes.
There's a giant brute of a Naga that just randomly killed us all, and we have no idea how or why. It was amazing.
We thought it was like a mini boss that we missed, but I think Ben Deco was soothing it the next time we fought it, using the hunter ability to soothe, because it would enrage and then he'd soothe it, and so it didn't one shot.
Okay.
But John,
He
the only
saved our
part of it
lives.
you would like is that there isn't a lot of it. That's the only part
Okay.
you would like. But no, the fights have been really fun. The tanking of the fights, even though I was cursing the fifth boss because the tank swap mechanic on that one's
It's so precise.
it's so precise and challenging. But hey, Never and I got it. We worked it out. They're good fights. They're challenging. They're interesting. They're not repetitive. I like them so far. Yeah, like I said, the last two bosses are probably going to kill us, but I'm looking forward to seeing whatever the sixth boss is. I need to put the raid video up. So
Yeah. Hey, John, it was great during that fifth boss. I'm sitting there like healing, doing my thing, and all of a sudden I'm looking at debuffs. I'm like, oh, this is a wipe. This transition's not perfect. This is a wipe right here.
yeah,
I'm like, we're still gonna try. We're gonna see what we can do. And it's like, okay, oh, it's a really messy switch, but you know what? We're gonna keep going. And oh, there, someone's dead.
yeah. The tank swap is you can't get the 10th stack of the debuff the boss is putting on you, or it's instant death. It doesn't matter what healing saving grace button you think you have, you're just dead.
Yeah, we had the hey, you're not gonna die in the next like 5 seconds, like bubbles and stuff on them and everything, just dead. It was great.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a really fun fight, and as hard as it was, Lady Ashrain, which again, don't know how she turned into a crab lady, but whatever. But there's coral everywhere, John. Coral.
Spencer,
Cool.
we've had a theme, I think, the past 3 episodes, and it's been this, and I want to read what Spencer had to say. If you have a rogue, you can skip the majority of the trash. Often sapping one mob will let you walk right past. Once again confirming, for the 3rd consecutive week, rogue class, best class.
All right. Well, hey, Tetsemi, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Azeroth Roundtable, where, believe it or not, if you've stuck around and you're like, oh, I hate this game, no. The things we said, it's because we love this game.
Yeah,
Just remember that.
we wouldn't be passionate about it if we didn't like it.
And
Yeah.
it's not like we're just complaining. We have solutions.
Oh, we are, but...
Hey guys, remember 5.1? Do more of that.
I do remember.
Well, see, the problem is everyone who worked at 5.1 when it came out, or everyone who worked at Blizzard when it came out, just doesn't work there anymore, so... Or at least in WoW. They're all in different games. Or they're working on Shadowlands.
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 Everybody's working on Shadowlands now.
So, Ted, until next time we have you on, where can people find you?
If you want to find more about what I'm up to, I am on Twitter at Ivory Tiger, and I am also on the AIE podcast, which we'll be recording this Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Probably we are going to be talking all about Elder Scrolls Online and the Summer of Love activities for AIE. So come give us a listen.
All right. Hey, John,
Hey,
if people are interested in the things that you do, where can they find you?
Well, follow me on Twitter at John_Jagger. I will let you know where I am, what I'm up to, what I'm doing. You can also catch me talking about video games on Core, which
Core!
is, as a matter of fact, a video game podcast, part of the Frog Pants Network. You can find out more about that at heroesforyou.com. If you're like, John, you only talked about 2 games on this show tonight. What if you talked about more games? That's the place to go. We also talk about bathwater. So, exciting stuff.
Oh, did
Which
you
one of you is
really?
selling it?
We talked about it for like 3 weeks in a row.
God, I never thought those words would come out of your mouth, John. Good Lord.
Our last
All
episode
right.
was called Sigma's Foot Bathwater.
Oh,
Because of course it was.
Nice.
Johnson!
That was my title, Tets.
I know, but Scott would go with it because of you.
So hey, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, have I got a deal for you? Every Saturday I am part of a campaign. We call it There Will Be Dungeons, and it is a lot of fun. It takes place in a Mad Max style world, and it's got a lot of colorful characters and DM that we all kind of think wants to kill us sometimes. And you can find out more about that at therewillbedungeons.com. I know, it's one of our reviews. I think the DM is trying to kill them. 5 stars. So,
5 stars.
yeah, it's a great campaign. Check it out. We just last episode, which was actually 2 weeks ago, got to the dungeon. We're getting in there, so it's a good time to pick up and jump in. It's a pretty simple concept. We're going down to rescue a girl. There's a mind flayer about, so it's exciting stuff. Saturdays, or therewillbedungeons.com is where you can find that. Benjamin?
Yes, John?
When you're not hanging out in the Shadowlands, where can people find you?
Well, the best place to find me is always going to be on Twitter. I'm at Ben Bumhofer. I also do a few other shows at this point.
Yep, you're busy bee.
As you were talking before about the good old Dungeons and Dragons, I do a show with Ryan Reeder about Dungeons and Dragons called DN Discussions. It's where we kind of talk about different aspects of it as a player, as a DM, and just kind of talk things through and have some fun. Give pointers from our feeble experience and stuff. Have fun with it.
When does that come out?
That comes out every other week. The next episode 3, is actually going to be coming out on the 29th, so on Monday.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to hear me actually play Dungeons and Dragons, you can listen to +5 to Hit. I joined on as a guest, and one of the cast members is actually going to be taking a leave of absence for a while, so I'm filling in the meantime. So if you like to hear John play Dungeons and Dragons, you thought, I wonder how Ben would do. +5 to Hit. That's where you can find me. And of course, last but definitely
or you
not
can
least,
look up the gnome episodes of There Will Be Dungeons.
Yes, episodes 8 and 9 of There Will Be Dungeons.
Was it
Or
8 and 9?
10?
Jeez, that was
It's
early.
either 8 and 9 or 9 and
So
10. I forget
early in the
which.
campaign. Wow. Anyway, gnomes.
But last but definitely not least, if you want to talk to me, if you want to hear me geeking out about pretty much anything, whether it be movies, video games, whatnot, I do a show with Eludra called Box Fort, where we sit in our box fort and just chat about stuff. We have a lot of fun with it. This show, though, Azeroth Roundtable, this is the first time you've ever heard this, and you're like, hey, I'd like to get some more of that. You can go to AzerothRoundtable.com, or else subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, all those fun things. You can always check us out there. If you have any questions, comments, want to tell us about how much we're wrong or how much we're right, you can send those emails to AzerothRoundtable.com. And AzerothRoundtable@gmail.com. What am I saying? And of course, if you wanted to get to us directly right away as fast as possible, you can always tweet us. We are at AzerothRT.
You want to know my favorite part about this end bit is how crystal clear and easy to follow all of it will be for anybody that wants to do anything.
I hope so.
And if you're sitting there saying, "Boy, I don't want to email him, I don't want to tweet him, I just want to give him money," and we know you're out there, whoever you are, We have a way for you to do that. Patreon.com/AzerothRT is the easiest way for you to just hand us cash. It doesn't exactly work that way, but that's the way I want to imagine that it works. I want to imagine that it's just a big, sweaty palm handshake where we look at our hand afterwards and we're like, oh, look at that. There was a $1 in there. That's exciting. But, you know, to those of you who have gone to patreon.com/AzerothRT and supported us, we thank you. We always give a special shout out to those who, you know, it's not just a sweaty handshake. Like, they're like throwing it down. And that's our Murloc Club. That's Aaron, Burschkauber, Brandon O, Haster, Jesse O, and Caleb M. Thank you so much for being part of the Murloc Club.
Seems like you got a mana pearl stuck there.
Yeah, you had a little issue this week.
Gross.
Yeah. Anyways, Tetsemi, thank you again for joining us. Chat room, you guys are awesome as always. Make sure to keep coming back because we record this live Friday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv.
Because we'll be here.
Well, I mean, we are Friday
All right,
nights.
everybody, just make sure you come back because we're gonna be here, and
it's lonely when you're gone.
Lonely. It gets sad.
Exactly. But this has been an episode. Until next time, be good to each other.
Oh, right. Stop the recording. Got it.